What's up everyone, welcome to Ash Talks Movies and welcome to my review of Together. It's a new horror movie from writer-director Michael Shanks. Today, Franco and Alison Brie star as Tim and Millie, a couple who move to the countryside for Millie's new teaching job, but the move only causes more strain on the couple's already troubled relationship. As they spend more time together and try to reconnect, unseen forces will force them together. Before I jump into the review, do me a favor, make sure you subscribe, that way you can keep up with everything I'm posting on the channel, including all the movie reviews, entertainment news, and more.
We spend our lives in search of the other half. If you think you found that, don't be so quick to let it go.
Together is an extremely entertaining movie. It basically takes this rom-com premise of a couple in a failing relationship and turns it into this unhinged body horror about codependency. What happens when a couple who should probably break up can't separate from each other? Not just because they've become complacent, but because they literally can't. There are unexplained forces that won't let them stay apart. It's a good exploration of attachment and codependency, and how you feel about what this couple goes through will probably depend on your own relationship experiences. Franco plays Tim, a musician whose career has never really taken off, and he has some reservations about leaving the city because it could mean the end of his music dreams. Meanwhile, Brie's Millie is able to follow her dreams with this new teaching job. There's some bitterness and resentment bubbling to the surface in this relationship, but Franco and Brie are great together and have amazing chemistry. Yes, they are married in real life, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee it would translate on screen. There are plenty of examples out there of real-life couples starring in movies together and their characters having absolutely no chemistry. But that's not the case here. And they really bring these characters to life, and you really buy the fact that these two people who seem very opposite of each other at some point had some attraction to each other and really do care about each other despite their differences and their problems. Together is probably one of the funniest movies I've seen this year, and that's definitely a compliment. The humor here is intentional and it works. It's sharp and witty at times. It's used to highlight the problems in Tim and Millie's relationship and the differences between these two characters, and it's also used to amplify the absurdity of their situation. There were so many times that I laughed out loud and never felt like it took me out of the movie. Now, even though Together uses a lot of humor to drive the story, it never forgets that it's also a horror movie. First, you have the body horror, which is used in an unflinching way. It's gross and in your face, but it's also not gratuitous. The special effects are also very impressive. In fact, I would say some of the effects in this movie are much better than those in some of the big budget movies that have come out this year. This movie also has some excellent jump scares, and I'm usually pretty critical of jump scares in horror movies just because I feel like most of the time they're used in a very unnecessary way, but that's not the case here. I also liked how this movie created tension. There's always this sense of dread looming over every scene. Pacing is also good here up until the third act, which felt rushed, but I did like the ending, mostly because the story could have wrapped in a different way, a less interesting way, and it didn't. Overall, I enjoyed Together, and I was actually surprised by how well this movie balanced the horror and the humor. I thought it was well made, had some really nice visuals and some great performances, and even though it's a horror movie with body horror, I actually think this one could appeal to a wider audience just because of how well it executes its premise. So those are my thoughts on Together. Do you plan on seeing this movie in theaters? Let me know in the comments. While you're here, like and subscribe and stick around for more videos like this.